Hey guys, this is Johnny, and real quick, I want to tell you about the next Nomad Summit conference that is coming up here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, January 17th through the 21st, 2020. Come out here. This is our 6th annual event in Thailand. You're going to love it. We're expecting 400 digital nomads. It's going to be a 3-day event with a bunch of optional workshops, a bunch of events afterwards to go out. We're going to go to Sticky Waterfalls. We're going to do all these cool networking things. So check it out. Get your tickets at nomadsummit.com.
Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where we interview location-independent entrepreneurs that travel the world like a boss by being their own boss. Here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, this is Johnny, and welcome to episode 238 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I am back in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I am with Luis Alberto from Guatemala. Welcome.
Hey Johnny, hey guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, really good. It's nice to be back in Chiang Mai, and it's nice to have a Guatemalan digital nomad. I think you're one of the first ones I've met.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's nice to be here in Chiang Mai, living this lifestyle. It's good to be here.
Yeah, have you met any other Guatemalan digital nomads or even travelers? I haven't really seen that many.
Well, I have a friend of mine, one of my best friends, Rodrigo. He's traveling now around Southeast Asia, but it's the only one. I mean, I just met her because it's my friend, but I think it's the only one guy.
Yeah. I've been a digital nomad for 10 years, and I've met so many people from so many countries, and you're literally the first person from Guatemala I've met, which really is kind of a shame because I was in Guatemala 9 years ago, and I really liked it. I thought it was a cool country.
Yeah, I think, probably it's because we are so far from here. It's one of the reasons. And well, we are not used to travel a lot. I mean, the culture is different. So probably it's because of that. And actually, my friend is the first person I have ever met in my travels,
So did you meet him in Guatemala or did you meet him here?
Here, and around the globe, because I've been traveling for now just this year, but I've been traveling last year in South America. I've been in North America, and she's the only one I ever met in my travels, So it's weird just to find just one guy when you're traveling. I mean, someone from your country.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a country, but it's still it's not a small country, right? Do you know what the population is?
Yeah. Now it's about 17,500,000.
Yeah, so it's still quite a bit of people for even when I was in Mexico, which is not that far away, it's pretty close. I don't think I met any Guatemalans at all.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I said before, maybe it's because we are not with that mindset about travels.
Yeah, but also I haven't met that many people who've traveled to Guatemala either. I mean, I guess there's probably... I've definitely met some, but it's been a very small handful. Most of the time when I meet people traveling, they've been all over Europe. They've been to South America. They've been to Brazil or Colombia or Peru. But Guatemala is just not on the radar.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things to enjoy in my country. I mean, we have a lot of volcanoes. It's like a paradise for trekking.
Yeah. So for people who don't know anything about Guatemala, today's episode, the reason why I wanted to have Luis on is later in the show, I want to talk about kind of the business stuff, and the struggles of being a non-American and figuring out online business, but also, the places he's been. But then I also really want to talk about Guatemala itself and traveling there, because I think it's one of those kind of underrated places, that you don't really hear about. But I think that it's also one of the coolest places I've been.
Ah, that's nice. Yeah, we are one of those destinations that people want to go because you see a picture about the volcanoes, and Antigua is one of the main cities you can visit. But we have more than that. The culture is rich because we have a lot of people locals who come from the Mayans. So we have a lot of Mayan ruins, volcanoes, lagoons, and the food is very authentic. So if you go there, you can find a lot of fun, and mostly the culture is very authentic.
It's funny, the nicest McDonald's I've ever been to, like by far, was in Antigua. Have you been to that one in the city center?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, I mean, first off, I want you guys to imagine this. To get there, there's like cobblestone streets that take you there, and you walk in, and I think they had table service. Like, I think you either order and then they bring it to your table, or I think you can even order off a menu or something. It was something weird that I just remember thinking, this is strange. I haven't seen this before. And I was sitting outside, and it had a fountain and the view of the volcanoes. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is like the fanciest McDonald's in the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, probably. Yeah, the landscape you can see from that city is amazing.
It's cobblestone streets everywhere. And you know, I'm sure a lot has changed since I've been there. But I also have a feeling that maybe not much has changed.
Well, maybe a couple of things. But now with all this technology you have in your hand now, it's more crowded. But the good thing about that city is that you can find like the infrastructure on the buildings are pretty much the same, because it's a city about 500 years ago.
And it actually reminded me a little bit of Chiang Mai, but without many tourists. Like a very quiet, smaller, older Chiang Mai.
Kind of. Could be something like that, similar.
Like, oh, this is a great place to sit and have a coffee, because Guatemalan coffee is really, really good, and chocolates as well. And the only thing that was missing at the time was good internet. And I'm a bit sad to hear that it hasn't actually gotten that much better since.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of being in Guatemala, because sometimes internet is not running good. But yeah, it will be better if you have a good connection, because anything else is good to stay there for.
But if someone wanted to, can they just get a SIM card and tether off their hotspot?
Well, it's not that easy, because, for example, now I don't know how it's going, those things in my country, because I've been all this year outside of my country, but it's not that simple to get a SIM card now, because you need to show your ID or I don't know where else now. But yeah, probably you can get one, but yeah, I don't know if...
Yeah, it sounds like things haven't changed much since I've been there, like 9 years ago. It's almost a decade ago. It's insane. But
yeah, almost a decade, yeah.
So actually what's funny is when I first arrived, I was staying with a local family, because it was a homestay where I wanted to learn Spanish. So I think included with it was 1 hour of tutoring at a local language school per day, and then I get to live with like a local host family that only spoke Spanish, to really they call it like an immersion, and it's really popular in Guatemala and actually in Antigua specifically. And people are saying that Guatemala is one of the best places in the world to learn Spanish, because there's very little slang compared to other Spanish-speaking countries like Mexico, you know, and it's a very neutral accent. So if you can learn Guatemalan Spanish, you can speak Spanish anywhere in the world and people understand you. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Actually, people like our neighbor countries say that we don't have like own accent, because we speak like very neutral. So what you're saying now is true, because, for example, if you go to South America or Mexico, they speak like, if you listen to someone speaking, like Mexican people, if I listen to them, I know that they are from Mexico. Or if I find someone speaking, from Colombia, I can identify them. Or from the Caribbean, for example, from Puerto Rico or something like that. But in Guatemala, sometimes it's difficult to...
Yeah. Okay, so if you heard someone on the street say, "Hola, vato, ¿qué pasó, wey?" Where are they from?
Mexico.
I'm glad I got my Mexican Spanish down. And then what would like a Colombian sound like? Okay.
¿Qué pasó, parce?
Yeah. And so,
something like that.
So Guatemala is a really good place to learn Spanish. I actually highly recommend it for anyone who wants to go, especially like the immersion programs. It was so cheap too. I don't know how much they are now, but I'm assuming it's still probably very cheap to live there.
Yeah, actually, if you compare to Thailand, it's pretty much the same, the prices. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive in Guatemala. Like, as we speak now, maybe if you compare the prices to Chiang Mai, maybe 20% more you're going to pay for accommodation or food. Because it's very cheap, actually, living there. If you live in, for example, in the lake, Atitlan Lake, it's cheap. Or if you live not in the main city, Guatemala City, it's gonna be cheaper. But I think you can have good deals with accommodation, and food is cheap and it's good, I think.
I can't figure out how much it is, like kind of just looking very fast. But I remember it was something like, I don't know, maybe $100 something a week, to stay there, to have 3 meals included a day or 2 meals included a day for the Spanish classes. Like in total, it just like, it wasn't very much. And I remember my very first day there, we had lunch with the family and I felt so bad because I didn't know a word of English. I mean, Spanish, like not a freaking word. I think I knew how to say hola and that's it. And I remember during lunch, I was so hungry, but I didn't know how to say una más tortilla, por favor. And I just sat there starving because I couldn't ask for more food. Yeah, and I remember the very first day of Spanish class, I was with a tutor. She started going over grammar, and I was like, no, teach me how to ask for another tortilla. For food. And I remember taking a piece of paper and just writing down like things I would want to say over dinner, so like, thank you, the food is delicious, or like, can I have some more tortillas, please, or please pass us, whatever. And I remember just taking out this piece of paper with me, and remember this, guys, this is like 9 years ago. This is before, iPhones, before Google Translate. So I literally just had this piece of paper with me, and I'll take it out over dinner, and I started just being able to like say these phrases. And in the 1 week that I was living there, I went from 0 Spanish to like being able to say, actually, was it 1 week or 2 weeks? But either way, it was a very short amount of time. And I remember we had like a final test where we had to get up and in front of everybody, say, like introduce yourself and like say who you're, say your name, where you're from. And I remember, I think till this day, like my phrase was, hola, me llamo Johnny. Yo soy Estados Unidos. Yo soy instructor de buceo. And like just a few other random things. And I was just thinking, wow, I can't believe I can like speak Spanish now. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's something similar is happening to me now in here in Chiang Mai, because sometimes you need to order a special dish that you like and you know the name. And in some places they don't speak English, so you struggle with that. Yeah, but I think at least the basics to order food if you are hungry.
My Spanish level and also my Thai level is competent in restaurants, but really nowhere else. So like when I was in Mexico all the last couple of months, I can read the menu. Like I knew what everything was on the restaurant menu, and I can order, all the food, and I can like even specify like, I want it with like no beans or extra this or extra whatever. But then, and in Thai restaurants the same. I can like, basically say everything I want. But aside from that, I can't have a conversation. I can't tell a taxi driver where to go. But for me, like order, like restaurant Spanish or restaurant Thai is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think the same. I think if I know how to get more food or how to order a dish.
Somebody should actually come out with a series of courses that just teaches how to, like, they can call it like the restaurant like language learning or something, and just have it be like, it could literally be like a 7-day course on how to speak enough of XYZ language to order, to read the menu, but also to order food. Because what's nice about it is you'll practice it every day. So, for example, like with a lot of conversational stuff, you probably won't really use it every day, so it's hard to remember. But if it's like restaurant stuff, you'll use it literally every day, like 3 times a day. So it's really easy to get it like, honed in and never forget it.
Yeah, that sounds good because, as you said, well, you need to eat every day and three times a day, so you're going to be practicing and repeating, so you're going to improve, maybe just at least with the food conversation in this case. So like, right,
I've been out of Thailand for a year and I completely forgot how to say everything. But then I went to the restaurant and I was like, oh, Sawasdee Cup, common guy cup. Like, like I want the chicken rice. Like, hello. And it just comes back instantly. Because I said it, probably, 400 times the last time I was in Thailand.
Yeah, now I am here in Chiang Mai. Sometimes I think, I should learn like more than just the basics, because you're welcoming when you speak like their language here. If you speak Thai, people is more like, oh, at least he's trying to speak Thai, and maybe you sound funny, but they try to help you to understand you and to say how to say that word or that dish.
And I think just
in the correct way.
They definitely appreciate you just trying. So even if you're not very good, they're like, okay, at least he's trying, and he's not just like a 3-day package tourist or something.
Yeah, and another thing is that if you're just coming for just vacation or holidays, at least just try to say hi and thank you, because I've been traveling sometimes with foreigners, right? And they always say they always speak English, and they don't even say cap and crab or sawali crab, and at least you have to say hello and thank you or sorry. And if you're going to stay longer, at least 2 or 3 months, I mean, in my case, I will learn more than the basics. And now I am trying to figure out how to say those delicious dishes I like, because I always order in English, but now I need I'm going to start.
What are some of your favorite dishes here in Thailand?
Ooh. Well, khao soi is my favorite, my number one.
Curry noodle soup. But I don't know, it doesn't sound good when you say curry noodle soup. Imagine like egg noodles with also crunchy noodles on top, and then some like chopped red onions, I think cilantro and some other kind of herbs, dried like pickled vegetables, and then like curry chicken put on top.
Yeah, and they give you some lemon to add to the soup, this curry soup. And also the lav mo. Lav mo is like
which sounds weird,
salad,
but
minced pork salad, right?
It's like it's good. It's like like minced pork with herbs and chopped red onion again with like some spice
and roasted rice grinded.
Oh really?
Yeah, and lime. Yeah, it's sour and a little bit spicy. Yeah, it's really good. It's one of my favorites, actually.
I think it reminds me a lot of Mexican food because there's always like spices and lime in there. But Guatemalan food is not. Does it have that?
Well, food in Guatemala is the base is tomato. I mean, tomato and corn. Yeah, we eat a lot of tortillas, as you said, but we don't eat as spicy as here, and we have more like broths, like kind of soups. So we have our main dish in Guatemala is pepián. It's one of my favorites. Actually, it's my favorite dish in my country. And well, we don't have a variety as Mexico, for example, but we have good dishes. I think at least now I can easily say 5 of my favorite. But if you go there and if you don't try pepián, you didn't go to.
I have to try to remember if I had it. I'm sure it did, but I just looked it up. It's chicken and spicy pumpkin and sesame sauce. Let me see if I can find a photo of it because I'm super curious now. Okay.
That's chicken pepián, because we have like 3 types of pepián with pork ribs and chicken and
is it normally served with
beef.
Rice or with tortillas or what?
All the broths. Yeah, all the broths or soups in this case, because it's kind of soup and curry. It's like a mix, we always get rice and tortillas on the side, and sometimes they give you some salad. But the way you eat this dish is not like when you are in Asia, that you add the soup or the curry to the rice.
Oh, wow.
It's the opposite.
That's
you
funny.
add the rice to the soup.
Why do you do that?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I don't know. It's everybody does that, but I think it's because you use more the spoon when you are getting that dish. Like if you have a soup, So maybe it's
Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes
because
sense.
of that.
All I remember about the food in Guatemala was I ate a lot of tortillas, lots of beans. For breakfast, it was always like eggs and tortillas.
Yeah, that's the typical breakfast, the Guatemalan breakfast. Scrambled eggs or fried eggs with beans and sometimes plantain or banana and tortillas.
Always.
You always get tortillas in the morning,
remember,
lunch, and
The
evening.
host family I stayed with in Antigua, they served really good food and they would eat with us. So it was like, it was really like being part of the family and I really enjoyed it. But the host family I was with in like Atalan, I think they were kind of just treating it as like a business to get some extra money. So they wouldn't even, they would serve us like food because they had to, but they would not eat the same food as they gave us. They would they would eat their own food and then they would just give us something else. And it was almost like, maybe it was because they thought we wanted different food than them. So, that could be it. But I just remember always being hungry. And sometimes I would just end up eating like 10 tortillas, and very little anything else.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but maybe they have that concept about Western people is not gonna like their own food. Maybe it's because of that. And if you can find, for example, family, like a typical local family, the food they get is very basic.
Yeah, but for
So
me,
probably it's
I
because
love
of
the
that.
local food, But I guess it was the same. When I visited my relatives in Taiwan, I was so excited to have Taiwanese food, especially like Taiwanese street food. But instead, they served me chicken nuggets because they were like, "Oh, he's American. This is what he eats."
Yeah, probably because of that.
And I was so disappointed. I'm like, what is this? And then even at Taipei, like I went out with my mom's friend. She took us out, and she wanted, so she took us to like the buffet at the Hilton or something, and it was just like Western food, and it was really expensive. And I was like, I don't want this. I want like cheap street food because that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's true. I've been traveling now around Southeast Asia, and when I enter to a restaurant, I see the menu, I don't want to see burgers or French fries or something like that. I always ask for the local food menu, and I think they have that concept that Westerns or tourists like different.
I think it's
food
also
from the local.
our fault as tourists, not really necessarily like you and me, but a lot of like package tourists or people who don't travel much and they came for the first time, they're so afraid of eating different food, or they're afraid of eating spicy food, that they're a pain in the ass. And then they end up, or they have picky kids. So if you go to the really touristy restaurants or like hotel restaurants, especially in like Phuket or any like Koh Samui or any of the kind of more touristy places, the menu will have Thai food, like Italian food, like pasta, pizza, burgers. Like they'll have all these things, and they don't do any of them that well because they just like need to have every type of cuisine in the world on one menu just to like, make the kids happy to have a burger, or, have the teenagers happy to have a pizza. And then maybe one of the adults might order like Thai food, but they don't want it with any spice at all. So it kind of just ruins it for everyone. And if they don't have that, then they lose that business.
Yeah, that's true, and it's a good point. Yeah, that's true, and it's a good point because you need to like supply all the demand, and especially in those places that are so touristy. Of course, you need to to have the supply for all the demand of people.
But I also think that's
in
super
your
short-term thinking,
restaurant.
where like in the beginning, it's kind of an easy guaranteed way to make some money, but it's also a guaranteed way where you'll never be that successful. Versus if you said, you know what, we're going to specialize in like khao soi. You know, we're going to take the time to educate tourists what this dish is. We're going to become the best khao soi restaurant in Phuket, like a destination place, you know, get good reviews, like, you know, get people talking about it. You know, so when they tell their friends, like, oh, when you go to Phuket, you have to eat at this, you know, Johnny's, you know, khao soi or something, you know, then they can become very, very successful. They can really introduce like a good part of their culture to people and not pander to, you know, like the easiness.
Yeah, and for me, in my case, is that when I see a menu, and if you only find 5, 4, or 3 dishes, for me, it's a good sign that it's going to be a good restaurant because they specialize in those dishes. And as you said, if they only focused on 1 or 2 or 3,
I definitely agree with that.
they are going to be good.
So
for
going
sure.
back to Guatemala, so I really liked Antigua as like a place to learn Spanish, to have coffee, to walk around, and just kind of have like almost kind of like a nice life, almost like a Chiang Mai type life there. But for travel wise, I remember going to some really beautiful places. So first off, Lake Atalan that you had mentioned was, I think they said it's the deepest lake in, I don't know if it's the world or something, but it's a really big lake. It's really deep. And there's a beautiful like hike you can do, probably, I guess, up a volcano there. Have you done that?
Yeah, the lake. Yeah, the lake, Lake Atitlan, is surrounded by 3 volcanoes: San Pedro, Atitlan, and Toliman. So you can imagine the landscape from the Panajachel town. You can see the 3 volcanoes in front of you. So it's amazing view, and the lake is surrounded as well by around 13 to 14 little towns. So you can choose where you want to stay. For example, if you go to San Marcos, San Juan, La Laguna, San Pedro, or Panajachel is like the most touristy place. But a lot of people go there, I mean locals, tourists, and you can find, if you want to be just chilling or relaxing, you can pick that, going to that place. If you want to be partying, you can find it. But yeah, I think it's the lake is one of those destinations. When you get there, you feel excited to feel that vibe. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. You have to be there to feel what I am saying now. Maybe you can
definitely
say
so
something
actually,
about that.
I wrote a post about Guatemala in 2013, so a few years after I was actually there. But I really just wanted to share with everyone. So I'll link it in the show notes, but you could just look for Guatemala on johnnyfd.com. But I remember I pulled up this photo of me on the hike, kind of overlooking Lake Atalan, and it was really, really beautiful. And I also remember doing horseback riding around the lake too, which was so nice.
Yeah, you have to go to one of those places. I mean, those kind of viewpoints. If you go to those places, you can see the beauty of the lake, the different colors, because the lake has like 6 or 7 different colors. Now, I'm not sure if is that way, because all people going there is contaminating the lake. It's sad, but it's true. So you can see the volcanoes, and if you are in the top of the volcano, you can see the sunrise, and it's very amazing. I had the opportunity in 2013 to go for camping there in the top of the volcano, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had. I mean, the sunrise, the lake, the little towns, and all the volcanoes, because you can see more volcanoes from there because you are on the top. So it's one of the best experiences you can have
Yeah, I
in the
really
lake.
loved it. So I
cleaning
just
a
looked up in
volcano.
actually my own article. This is why I actually like writing guidepost to places because because I travel so much, I forget like the details of how much things were or like the name of the school I went to. But when I write it down, not only is it good to share with others, but also I can go back and look at it. So I just looked it up, and I spent $200 a week for a room, 3 meals a day, and private Spanish classes. Wow. That's cheap. That's so cheap. I'm sure it's a little bit more now.
That's
but
very cheap.
The school was called Ixchel. I think it's a Mayan word. How do you say that? Ixchel Spanish School.
Ixchel.
So you guys can check that out. And after Antigua, or after like Atlan, I went to a really beautiful place, like mind-blowingly beautiful. It's called Semoc Champay.
Semoc Champay. Yeah, that's one of my favorite places in my country. Yeah, it's amazing. If you go to the viewpoint, you can see the beauty of the river because it's like a river, right? And you have, I don't have to say that when you have water above and water under the...
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Like
it's
a river, but...
It's almost like imagine tiered waterfalls. Like, and that each of them fill a lagoon. And then the water was so blue, like such a beautiful color. It was more like a teal color. Like imagine like a Tiffany's box. And it was, I don't know how many waterfalls are there, but like maybe like, let's say 5, 6 of them that each fill up a lagoon where you can swim in, and then they kind of fall again to the next one. So it was like a huge natural staircase of swimming pools.
Yeah, and you can stay there for 1 hour and you don't feel the time. I mean, you can stay there 1 or 2 hours, and yeah, it's an amazing feeling to be there because you are between 2 mountains and the river is in the middle. So it's an amazing landscape. I highly recommend that place. If any of the following are trying to get there,
I definitely
you have
recommend
to
it.
go.
I would actually recommend
sure
spending
to
more than a
Semoc
few
Champay.
hours there and just really taking your time, because I would say it's one of the most beautiful places in the world I've been to. Really? Yeah. And it's very unique. Like I haven't seen anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah, I think the same. When I was in Guatemala, I used to go there at least once a year because for me was like a place for getting like good energy, and I don't know, it's so peaceful, and the people there is so friendly and it's so authentic, and the food is, I mean, it's very basic, but you enjoy the food because you are in between that river, and
Definitely,
all that place is amazing.
What I ate there, but I just remember the area was really nice. And then after that, I went to Tikal, which is an ancient Mayan ruin, and I think it was filmed. It was the location for Star Wars Episode 4, where Luke and Han Solo flew the Millennium Falcon on Yavin 4, whatever that means. That's like a jungly, rainforesty moon. Like, is that what Tikal is famous for, or nowadays at least?
Oh, well, Tikal is the main city of the Mayans. It was the main city and the biggest one. So if you remember, walking or wandering around Tikal is like exhausting because it's big, it's huge. And well, it's why it's so famous, because you can find a lot of ruins and big ruins. I mean, you have this famous, you can see in pictures, Grand Jawar, and it's one of the main pyramids.
Yeah, it's not really nice
in the city.
I don't know if they still allow you, but I remember you can climb up the pyramids.
No, now it's not possible. It's not possible. I mean, the main pyramid, the main ruin is not available now to climb up. But in the other three, you can go up by the stairs. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's pretty much like being in the main pyramid, but you're not
So
that
I got
high.
lucky going there early.
Yeah.
Another reminder, guys, is don't put off your travels, because as places get more touristy, like they think places get closed off. So, for example, Komodo Island in Indonesia has been one of the most amazing places I've been in the world, and it was really cheap to go there. And you can see Komodo dragons in the wild. You can snorkel with manta rays. It's like so freaking nice. But very few people went there. Like so many people go to Bali, and then nobody takes that extra step to go to Komodo. And now it's too late now, because I think the government is restricting how many people can go to Komodo now, and they want to charge something like $10,000 like for a permit, just to like really limit like the tourism there.
I think they are going to close the access to the Komodo Island. You can just go to Power Island. I went there like 4 months ago, and I consider that it's my favorite place in the world. And I was amazed when I saw all the view. You have to be there to appreciate what you have in your travels. You know what I mean? And these kind of places, as you said, now a lot of people is concentrated in Bali, but they don't make an extra step to go like the neighbor islands, and you are missing if you don't go there. Amazing landscapes.
Like I feel bad for the millions of people who have been to Bali, and people who spend months there. You know, it's not even like a time concern, you know, and it's not even really a money concern, because it's really cheap to get to and also to stay in Komodo. Just people are like, no, I'd rather stay here in, you know, Ubud and spend $1,000 on some ayahuasca thing, or a yoga, you know, retreat, or, you know, or party it up somewhere and just drink beer all the time. And they ended up spending the same amount of money, and they could have had a once in a lifetime experience in nature, like the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah, and that experience for me was one of the best I ever had in my life, because I took the boat trip from Lombok.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, 4 days and 3 nights on the boat, eating on the boat, sleeping on the boat, and visiting islands like Virgin Islands and doing snorkeling every day. So at the end, we got to the Power Island and Komodo Island the last day, and it was like your price for all that long trip, because it was a little bit uncomfortable to go by boat, because it's very basic. But when I got there, it was amazing. For me, it was unbelievable. I was like a kid in Disneyland.
It's
for
crazy.
the first time.
I actually
Like,
regret not doing that
wow,
boat. I flew there instead. But because I had heard it was a very uncomfortable boat ride. So what made it uncomfortable?
Yeah. Well, maybe if you book like the best company, you're gonna be that. It's not gonna be that bad. But when I was there, it was full already, so I had to book the cheapest one. And you sleep on the floor and just with a small mattress, and that's it. The food was good. Actually, I was a little bit surprised that the food was good when you are cooking on the boat. You know what I mean? And everybody say that. Oh,
Like crap.
yeah, I was
Actually, I probably would have brought like a bunch of food with me just in case.
Yeah.
But what kind of food was it?
Noodles and vegetables, steamed vegetables. And one day before, one of those guys were fishing.
Oh, perfect.
Next day we ate.
Nice. And how much was that trip? It was. I remember it being really cheap.
You know. I think I paid $2,200,000 US. So it's you have to be a millionaire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad for a 4-day boat trip all meals included, and also taking you to the island, because my flight was either the same or more.
Yeah, they pick you at the hotel the first day. They take you to the harbor, and then start the trip from Lombok Harbor, and they drop you at the harbor of Labuan Bajo. And also, for those who are interested in doing that trip, you can stay the last day there or 2 days and do some scuba diving, because around there are one of the most spots for, one of the
I ended up staying there for
scuba diving.
I think almost a week. I was diving with Scuba Junkie, and they were a great company, and the diving there is amazing, especially with all the manta rays there. It was one of the best places in the world. If you guys want to know more, just search for Komodo on Johnny FD. I'll put a link to that as well. But like a really, really cool experience.
Yeah. I highly recommend. I highly recommend that. And well, if you can do the boat trip from Lombok to Labuan Bajo, could be a good experience.
Yeah. So for everyone who is thinking about going to Bali, it is so much nicer in Komodo. Like Bali, it looks amazing in photos. So if you're an Instagram model or a wannabe Instagram model and you just want to take nice photos, Bali's great. But everything else about it, like there's way better places in the world.
Yeah, for sure. Flores and all those islands surrounding Flores are amazing. And if you have the chance to go there,
Flores,
don't miss it.
There's a Flores in Guatemala as well that I really liked.
Yeah, we have a small island, Flores. It's between a lake. The lake is has the same name, Lake of Flores, and the small island is in the lake is Flores, and it's a beautiful island. I mean, it's very small, but I don't know, it's so enjoyable to walk around that island. And if you are planning to go there, you have to stay there, because it's like you have good restaurants, you have beautiful sunsets, and you can take a boat trip on the lake. And it's
really chill. I really liked it, and actually I regretted not staying there longer. And I thought it reminded me a lot of Pai here in Thailand. Have you been up there?
Yeah.
It's like a small hippie kind of chill place to hang out.
Yeah, I like. There is another place as well with that style. Is El Remate. Is on the road to Tikal. It's in front of the lake, but on the west side of the lake. Flores Island is in the center, in the middle. And if you go to the west, you can find that place, El Remate. And you can see as well beautiful landscapes, and you can stay in front of the lake. Nobody making noise, nobody bother you. So if you want to go there, it's highly recommended.
Lots of cool places to go in Guatemala if you guys end up going there. There's one place I heard of that's another Mayan ruin, and at least when I went, there was no access to it by road. You had to hike for 5 days through the jungle to get there. El Mirador?
Yeah, El Mirador. Yeah, now it's the same. You can get there just by helicopter or walking. So if you take the second option, you're gonna have a nice adventure, because I mean the experience to sleep in the jungle 6 nights, because 7 days you're going to be walking, but you sleep there. You can choose 5 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights. That's up to you. But at least if you're going there, you have to sleep 5 nights, because to get there, you only have access by walk or by air. Of course, if you have a lot of money and you only want to spend just 20 minutes to get there, take the helicopter, of course. But I think it's a good experience for those who are interested in going there. I highly recommend it during summer, because the rain in the rainy season, it's almost impossible to walk in the jungle because you have huge trees, and at night it's so humid that it's very cold. So you can, if you don't have a big coat or a warm coat, you can sleep well. And during the day it's very hot, so you have to be prepared for the both sides.
Do you know anyone who's been there?
Of the jungle?
Like, have you met anyone who's been to El Mirador? You've been there?
I went there in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, I took that trip with and at that time, back then, I think there was just a couple of companies doing that trip because it was not the demand was not that massive like now. Now, if you go there, you can find maybe more than 5 companies doing that trip, but you have to choose like one of the best ones, because it's pretty much the same as the Komodo trip we were talking about. If you want to be comfortable, you have to pay a little bit more. So you have to choose like the most expensive because they give you more food. And like the tents for sleeping at night are bigger. So you're going to be more comfortable.
How much did you spend for that trip?
Oh, well, at the time, I think I spent in local currency, well, US dollars will be something.
Okay, that's not bad for like a week trip.
Something like that.
Okay, that's not bad.
No, but because it was a local and I have a student carnet, so I had to show my student ID. And I think the average price for that trip, for that experience is, I don't know, maybe 600 or something like that. I'm not sure about that because I did it.
But was it worth it?
Almost a decade ago. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that is one of the best experiences
what about
I ever
it
had
in
my country. Because you start walking the first day, and the nature you have in the jungle is very unique. You don't see those kind of trees anywhere. And just living in the jungle, and you have a guide explain all the history, because on the road you can find like a small ruins. And the third day you get there and you sleep there and spend one day like in the surroundings of the Mirador. And the sunset and the sunrise is one of the best I ever seen in my life, because you only see jungle and the sun, and it's very amazing.
I appreciate places that you can't drive to. So like, for example, in Nepal, they're making a huge mistake by creating more roads for people to be able to drive up the mountains to, so basically making trekking easier. So you don't have to trek anymore. You can kind of just take a Jeep up. And I think they're getting paid a lot by, like certain villages that like really want road access, not even for themselves, because I think they were fine walking up. It was really just because they want more tourism there. But what they don't realize is the reason why people like trekking is because it's the only way to get there. If there was road access, it makes the trek less exciting, because you almost kind of feel stupid. Like, well, why am I trekking for a week when I could have just, drove for 4 hours?
Exactly. Yeah, if you are going there, you have to be prepared that you are going to walk a lot. And the roads are just for trekking, as you said. And for example, I heard like 5 years ago, some companies were planning to make a road, but that doesn't make sense, because maybe you're gonna get there faster and easier. But the thing about that, is to take that road in the jungle and walk and do the trek and enjoy nature.
Did you use like mules or like jackasses, the donkeys?
Oh yeah, the guide, they take a meal with the food and tent and water. They take sometimes two, and you only take your own clothes, like your if you want to take your sandals or your own water or snacks,
Like a small day pack or
that you're
something.
taking your own backpack. Yeah, like a daily backpack or something like that. But I highly recommend, if you're going there, to take more food, because you're walking all day long, so you're gonna be hungry always. Every meal you're gonna eat more, and sometimes back then I thought, oh, I would like to eat more. Yeah, if you want to go there, will be better if you take your own food. Snacks or something like that, or some fruit. But fruit is not very good if you're going to be 5 days. Will be better something like I don't know, some like those
Energy bars, granola bars, maybe. Okay.
how to say that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, energy bars.
By the way, have you heard of or done the treks here in Chiang Mai? There's like, you can do it overnight, or the best ones are like 2 or 3 days long, where they basically take you up and sleep kind of like in the jungle or near the hill tribes.
No, not yet. A friend of mine recommended me to do that.
It's so
But
cool, and
I
it's
haven't
actually
do
really
that
cheap.
yet. It's nice.
It's actually it's weird the way that they price it, because if you do the normal tourist package, which has a bunch of stuff that you don't really want to do, like they take you to like a butterfly farm, they take you elephant riding, which you shouldn't really, you shouldn't support. That one is, and then they take you for the actual trek. That one's really cheap. That one's like $1,200 or 200 baht or something. So like 45 US dollars, and includes, food, transportation, overnight accommodation. The 2-night one is only like $10 more, which is really crazy. So that one's the best deal. But then the package where it's only walking, where you skip the elephant riding and you skip the butterfly farm, those are actually double the price. Those are like 3,000 or 4,000 baht, which is like a weird pricing. So what I always do is I always get the normal tourist package one, and then I just tell them I don't want to do the elephants, or if we have to go, then I just like sit it out.
Oh wow, that sounds great and very cheap for all
Yeah, it's
what you get.
fantastic. And my favorite time that I've done it was during lychee season, because you walk by lychee trees, which is my favorite fruit in the world, and they're ripe, but you just pick as many as you want and eat as many as you want. I remember just eating like a kilo of them off the tree, and then taking like another kilo of them in my backpack to eat later, and it was so good.
Yeah. Well, when you're walking all day, you need to eat more than
definitely.
usual.
So, both Guatemala, really, really cool place to be. Thailand here, it's been really cool. What made you actually start this nomad journey?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, my life was typical rat race journey that you have, that you find in life. I was driving in traffic jams every day. I was spending a lot of money on things that I don't remember. I was in debt. Well, I just was working because I had to pay my expenses. So when I was in Mexico 4 years ago or something like that, I met a couple working in the hostel. So I remember they were cooking, and the smell in the kitchen was very delicious. So I talked to them, and we started talking about food. So then they invited me to join them. We started to talk about troubles, and suddenly, I don't know why, I asked them, how do you afford to travel for 8 months? And they said, well, we are working while we are traveling. So they give me all like the information about this kind of lifestyle to work and travel. And I was very curious about this lifestyle. So then when I was back at home, I decided to, well, we are going to do a research about this. And I Google it and I find thousands of blogs about travel and just travel, right? In Spanish. I don't know why I found a blog about I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was this guy Nomad, and I was reading that blog, and then I started reading blogs in English. So I found that there was this kind of lifestyle, nomading, working and traveling, and I said, well, maybe I can do that. I'm gonna start doing the same things these people is doing or have been doing. And well, I found your blog, your podcast, and I started listening all those tips and the ways you can make money online. And that was like an opportunity to get a better life, to make more money, because when you're working online, you usually make more money than you are.
And what was your job back then when you were researching all this?
Yeah, well, I was working in a bank. I worked there for almost 12 years. So I did a plan. I said, well, let's go travel, because it's something that I always wanted to do. And I was traveling just for my holidays. 3 weeks, 4 weeks was enough for me.
The company, like, it's really, you invested a lot of time into that career.
Yeah. Well,
can I ask how much were you earning?
A lot of time, almost. Oh well, yeah. In US dollars, it was around 1,600.
Guatemala is very good, right?
Yeah, it's a good salary. I mean, it's not the best, but I was 27, 28. And for me, it was more than enough. And I decided that I wanted to quit, and I did that plan. I started to... First, I was in debt. So my first step was to get out of debt. Credit cards, my car loan,
is that common
insurance.
in Guatemala? Because in the US, it's really common for people to have credit card debt. Okay. Because I always felt like it was an American thing, where other countries were like smart enough not to owe a bunch of money on a credit card. But for, I think, Americans, it's like 80% of us have credit card debt.
Yeah, well, in Guatemala, I don't know the percentage, but it's easy to get a credit card, especially for those banks who are new in their country and they try to get some new clients, and they give you a credit card and they don't ask you for, a lot of things like the big banks. So it's easy to get a credit card and it's easy to get in debt as well. So I was one of those guys. And I was working in a bank, so I knew how it works. So then I realized that I was like in that hole, you know what I mean? And I decided to start, after getting out of debt, I decided to start saving money and at the same time trying to find a way to make money online.
I want to pause
because
for a
that was
second
my
and
goal.
really reflect about this, because you bring up a really good point. And I never really thought about it this way until now, but most people in the world, especially in the US, but Guatemala as well, and probably in a lot of countries, we're working so much and we're commuting to work. Like, how long was your commute to get to and from work every day?
Well, in the morning, 1 hour, and
it's
like
the
evening,
in the US,
2 hours.
It's really similar. That's insane. We're putting our bodies through, torture. It's a lot of mental stress. we're giving up, 50 weeks a year of our life. And it's okay, I guess, if like we're working towards something or we're really enjoying it. But the thing is, most people aren't really enjoying it. They're just working to work or pay off debt. And most people aren't saving money. If anything, they're going more and more in debt. So it's almost like, why are we working? Like, what's the point of this existence? Is it just to get the 2-week holiday every year? Like why do people do what they do? And I don't think anyone ever really stops to think about it. People just do it because they think that's the normal path in life. You go to school, you get a job, you work, you spend money, you buy stuff, and then you go on vacation, hopefully once a year, maybe not even that.
Yeah, exactly. That's depressing because that was my life, actually. I was just getting paid to pay my expenses, and my expenses were partying and all those things in my house, my car. Well, it was crazy. I didn't know exactly where
and nobody
my
knows.
money was
a
going.
lot of it goes to expenses of just going to work. So clothes you buy, the car that you buy so you can get to and from work, the gas you buy, the insurance you buy, and the opposite of it now is, let's say as a digital nomad, let's say we're working and we're not saving any money. Some people might be like, oh, you're not very successful if you're only making, $800 a month or $1,000 a month and you have no savings. But I would argue that even if you only make $12,000 a year as a nomad, but you get to live in different countries and really enjoy the experience, of life, and see cool things, be in new places. And at the end of the year, even if you have $0 in savings, you're still way better off than if you made $50,000 a year living at home, like your home country, and having $0 at the end of the year because you spent all your money, in normal life, or worse, being in debt at the end of the year. It almost doesn't matter how much money you make. It's how much you keep, but also the experiences that you have and how, while you're living your life.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And it worth it. I mean, if you are with $0 at the end of the year, but at least you have all those experiences,
you're better off.
And you
That's
are
someone
not
who
in
made
debt.
5 times as
For
much
sure.
money as you,
Yeah, exactly.
but didn't do anything.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that was my life. I was in that trap, in this social trap, and well, I started doing things differently with my friends. I had to quit all those party guys, and well, I had to make a lot of changes to start this journey. And as you said, well, I was just spending money and driving 2 hours, 3 hours a day, or 4 hours a day. That was crazy. I mean, you're wasting your life sitting inside your car. If at least you have to listen a audiobook or a podcast or something like that to learn something new. And that's what I did. I was stuck in traffic jam. I was listening podcasts, audiobooks, and I don't know, something new to learn. And I decided that, I'm going to take this step because anyways, I don't have nothing to lose. I have
and that's a really good point. I think a lot of
not to
people
lose.
who have been on this podcast have been through the same journey where they had a normal job, and during their commute or even while working, instead of just mindlessly listening to music, which is entertaining, right? Of course, I like music, but you don't learn anything from music. It's just a distraction. It's the same as going to bars and clubs on the weekend. It's really just a distraction, to blow off some steam or give you something to do over the weekend because, you're not really enjoying life. while when you're traveling, we still go to bars and clubs sometimes, but like we don't have to. Like we go there just because we've done cool stuff and we go to socialize, but like it's not like a need. It's not like, oh, I have to go out this weekend because I hate my life or I'm so stressed or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that's a funny story. When I was going back to home in my car, I saw a friend on the street. So I said, "Hey man, hop in my car." "Ah, thank you." So I was listening one of those audios. I think it was something about discipline of Jim Rom in Spanish. And this guy said, "Really? Do you listen to these kind of things?" "Yeah." "Why? Why do you ask that?" "Well, do you have a good audio here in your car? You should play some good music." "Yeah, but now it's not my goal now to play music in my car. I need to learn something good for my life." And that's when I realized that people is just doing things unconsciously, just because, I am doing this because, it's what I have to do. And they don't even know why they are doing those things. And I had a conversation with this guy, and I remember that at the end of the conversation, he said something like, "Oh man, thank you, because I didn't think about these topics. I never talk about with someone else about this." So I remember that for me, it was kind of an insight for him, like, I don't know, it was like inspiration for him, because after that, he started with books like self-development and financial freedom. And after that we were talking about what kind of books we were reading. So I think you can influence people with just one chance you have to talk with someone else.
You can really inspire a friend and possibly change their life by just reframing something or sharing like what you're doing. So for all of you listening to this podcast, you're the 1%. You've made it. You're not just mindlessly listening to music during your commute. You're probably listening to a podcast. So if you have any friends who you think would benefit from something like this, just don't like tell them they're an idiot and wasting their life, but just be like, "Hey, have you ever listened to podcasts?" Like you show them how to actually even download podcasts. You'll be surprised how many people in the world don't even know how to play a podcast or download a podcast. And if you tell them like, "Oh yeah, check out Travel Like a Boss," you might just change their life.
Yeah, that's true, because that was exactly what I did. I started listening these podcasts and audiobooks and reading a lot. I remember that I bought my Kindle on August 2016. And that year I read 7 books from August to December. And next year I read, on 2017, I read like 34, something like that. Wow. Yeah, so can you imagine for reading nothing to have more than 40 books in your mind? It was like, I think I need to do something different, and I am getting ready for.
So then what made you actually take that first
life.
step? Like, where was the first place you moved to?
Well, because I wanted to travel and I wanted to feel free. I mean, I don't want it to be selling my time. I don't want it to be in debt and just buying things. And my main goal was to afford to travel for whenever I want and wherever I want. Because I remember that I saw a video of Tony Robbins, who I think someone asked him how he could describe success. And he said, it's doing whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, something like that. So I think that's true, because if you want to do something right now in somewhere else for 2 weeks or 2 months, that's kind of success, because you are doing what you want. And my main goal was to travel. And for me, when people came to my country, I thought the same. Oh, those people, those rich people, they have a lot of money because they are traveling. But then I realized that I can do this as well. I mean, Guatemala is different because, I mean, we are a developing country and it's a small country, and the government is not good, actually. So we have, I mean, in a lot of countries it's like that, but we are even worse. So, well, it's very, I mean, life or living there is hard. So I think that I did this because I wanted to, not to escape, but to get a better life and to feel free. And now I am here in Chiang Mai. I've been around Southeast Asia. And as you said, maybe it's not cheaper here than my country, but I have now more experience in life. I've been hanging out with nice people, meeting new places, having good experiences, good landscapes, amazing landscapes like Power Island and Komodo Island. So now I feel like I am living now. When I was working, I had a good job. Actually, I had a good relationship with my boss and with my co-workers as well. So when I told them that I was gonna quit, they was like, really, why? You're good here. Yeah, but I don't want to be here in my comfort zone. And if I stay here, I'm not gonna grow. I'm just gonna be surrounded with like-minded people, like in my bubble, you know? Like, if you don't travel, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're not gonna grow. You're not gonna meet amazing people. You're not gonna
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Better
and that's why
experiences.
I love hosting the Nomad Summit every year. It's because we get together so many like-minded people who have all escaped this rat race, or at least have started it. You know, there's probably half the people already are successful and have a great business, but the other half is usually people who just took their first step. Maybe this is their first trip, you know, to Thailand or outside of the country, or they kind of use it as a landmark and say, okay, by January 17th, 2020, I'm going to be location independent. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to move to Thailand. You know, I'm going to come meet 400 other digital nomads, you know, make some friends, make some connections, and I'm going to start this life.
Yeah, I think the first step is to change your mindset about what you want in life. Because if you want to be in the same position, doing the same things, you're going to stay like that every year. And that's not growing as a person, I think. And taking the first step, these events like the Nomad Summit, I think you can have like a roadmap about what to do. Because when you are in this situation, it's like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to maybe do this or maybe this. You have like a lot of options, but you don't have where to start. And if you have like a roadmap, it's easier. And now I actually wanted to be here in this event the last year, but I still was working, so I decided, well, next year. But now I am here, and I'm going to be in that event.
Cool. I think you will like it a lot.
Very excited for that. I think
it's exciting. So the first step, to recap it, is change the mindset. And you can do that from, you know, where you guys are now. So even if you're still working a 9-to-5 job, you can just change little habits, like listening to podcasts or audiobooks instead of listening to music while you're commuting. You know, it's having a plan and saying, okay, you know, maybe I can't make it this year, but next year I'm going to be at the Nomad Summit no matter what. And then the second phase, or kind of the key, would be to change your location, change your environment. Because if you're still living in the same place, you're still doing the same thing, it's really hard to be different or to break free. But if you physically change your location, like you come to Chiang Mai, for example, like it's almost a guarantee that everything else will change too. Yeah,
that's true, because now I've been here this is my second time here in Chiang Mai, and this is my second month. But the first time I was here, like 3 months ago, I met interesting people. I mean, different roles, different stories, and you can learn from them. And you can actually apply like some strategies from those people. I mean, so when you are surrounded by like-minded people, it's easier to get involved in this journey, and you're like, oh well, I am here, and well, I can do, or I can apply this strategy or something like that. But it's different if, for example, if I wouldn't be here now, maybe in my country, just in my room working, could be boring and kind of depressing. Just working a lot, and maybe for someone that's good, but for me, I thought at that moment back then that I needed something different, like a different country, different culture, and I think that point is very useful, because if you're going to stay just in your country doing the same, maybe you're going to be working on your project or business, but it's better if you are doing something.
I definitely agree. And this is why I have this podcast, and I spend the time, energy, and money to produce a show, is because I know there's a lot of people who don't have the opportunity yet just to travel. They maybe, they're isolated, in their home country or at work or commitments, or maybe you're even traveling already and you're just not meeting that many other digital nomads or other successful people. This is a way to connect everyone, to share stories, share experiences, share ideas and what works to a big audience. And this is why I think so many people like randomly come up to me on the street and be like, hey, I listen to your podcast, and you're one of the reasons why I came to Chiang Mai. And that's actually how I met you.
Yeah, exactly like that. And if you know, I was coming from the gym that night, and 5 minutes ago I just finished to listen in the last podcast of you. Suddenly I found you on the street and was like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah, I was.
That would have been funny if it was still playing and then he saw me. So you're like, I'm listening to you right now. I'm listening to you right now.
Yeah, man, I am listening to you right now, and you're here in person.
But what's cool about that is I literally just randomly met on the street. And you're like, hey, Johnny, I want to thank you. Can I take you to lunch? And I was like, oh, yeah, I appreciate that. I like food. And you recommended this grilled chicken place, which I love. And then we were just talking about Guatemala, and we were talking about travels. I was like, maybe we should do a podcast. We should share this conversation with everyone.
Yeah, I want to say thank you here, because you're a good influence about this journey I am doing now, and all your advices, your tips about traveling, saving money, and those travel hacking tips are very useful. And I think one of the most important things of this podcast and following your blog is that you learn something that nobody is gonna teach you, just the person who already is doing it. So if you want to have a different lifestyle, you have to emulate someone who is already doing it. So that's what I did. And now is why we are talking here in Chiang Mai. And as I said, I am very grateful for that. Yeah, for all your information, on all inspiration because I think it's not just in my case. A lot of people, I think, is in the same position right now. Listening podcasts in their cars or something like that while were stuck in traffic.
Yeah. So shout out to all of you who are listening,
you know?
No matter where you guys are at currently right now. I hope to meet all of you in person, hopefully at the next Nomad Summit. You can go to nomadsummit.com for more information about the next events. But if you're listening, in December or January, come to Chiang Mai. I mean, I don't know what commitments you guys have, but try to get out here, because I guarantee when you're here in Chiang Mai and you're meeting all these other digital nomads, literally walking on the street here in the Neiman Haman area where there's 40 coffee shops and hundreds of nomads, especially during January where 400 digital nomads are going to come to Chiang Mai to come to the Nomad Summit. It's a great place to be, and it's a great place to meet other like-minded people who also are building businesses, making money online, traveling while, and working while traveling. So I highly, highly recommend it. Get tickets at nomadsummit.com. Luis, any parting words?
Well, yeah, I highly recommend to invest in yourself. And one kind of investing in yourself is join this kind of events, because I've been in a couple before in Latin America, and you share and you're doing networking with people, and these events is like gasoline for your entrepreneurship, because you need some support, and sometimes you feel like you're alone. So when you are surrounded with like-minded people, you feel like a lot of people is doing this, and yeah, if you have the chance to come here to Chiang Mai,
join us, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully I'll see you guys in Chiang Mai, and I'll see you guys all next week. If you like this show, please go to iTunes, rate and review it, give it 5 stars. Leave a positive review, tell everyone why you like the show, and then share it with your friends. Thanks so much, and see you guys somewhere in the world, hopefully in Chiang Mai. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.